Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Dynamics Corner. What does organized chaos look like? You're about to find out. I'm your co-host, Kris.
And this is Brad. This episode is recorded on February 4th, 2026. Kris. Organized chaos, events, planet cards, and more. We had a great conversation today, and we had the opportunity to speak with Bobby Jr. and Bri the Bouncer.
Admit them to the mental institution.
I don't know if it's a mental institution, but it maybe become one.
I love the name there.
Is that your
Breathe
house? Is that what you guys call your home, the mental institution?
Yeah.
Just makes it fun. Like, where are you heading? I'm heading to the mental institution. See ya.
That's sometimes I believe I'm in one in my head. So I don't know.
Essentially, you're alone in your mind, right? You're always going to be alone in your mind. So, yes.
I'm not alone in my mind. I have friends in there with me.
I'm writing a book, and part of the rewrite that I'm going through is adding a character, which is my inner dialogue. And so I've, giving it a voice and a demeanor is interesting. Right now, it's solid, like Peaky Blinders, low kind of growl, weird.
That's your other person.
Amalgamated, British Isle accent. It's like, hey, what's going on there, Bobby? And it's right somewhere up in there. It's just as grating as you could get.
That is when will that book be released?
That's a good question. I started writing it when I was turning 50, so that's 8 years ago.
Wow.
But just so you know, I've got 40 to 50,000 words written, so now I'm just fine tuning. So we'll see. Maybe this year.
That's good. I'm looking forward to it. Maybe we can put that on the 2026 list of things to do for you to finish up. I think we need to put a date on there. Or if you want to send it my way, I'll read it. I enjoy reading. So as we spoke about,
I'm at the stage of that final kind of rewrite. Through some editing process, like just grabbing that last little, oomph. I'm excited. I think 26 will be the year.
Good. Well, I'm looking forward to it. And it was a pleasure seeing you in Tampa for the DUG Southeast Regional Winterfest. I know we talk about the cold, but it's not. And I will tell you an interesting story about this because I was fortunate to have the opportunity to present a session at the conference. And then I drove up. Well, I didn't drive up. My Tesla drove up as we were speaking about a dinner that evening.
Lazy bum.
Is that the name of the Tesla? Do you call the Tesla lazy bum? Is that you have a name for it?
Yeah. No, you got chauffeur now.
Listen, that thing drove 99.9.
Lazy bum, send me home.
99.9% of that trip that drove for me. The only thing that it did not do, because I wanted to do a test, was pull into the charging station at the hotel, because it went in and wanted to find a parking spot. Like, there isn't a way to say find the charging station or park at the charging station, so it didn't. So
Does
I
it
walked
just find
into
the
that
first parking spot, or do you have to tell it, like, I need to be within 50 feet of the approximate entrance?
No,
please?
first available spot.
Or the very first spot you pull in, it's like right there. You're 200 yards away from the entrance.
Well, now you can specify. You can say that your destination is a parking lot, driveway, or street.
Okay.
And
curbside.
Or curbside, yes. So when you pull up, if you're going to a home, it will just leave, stop on the street. If you're saying that it's a driveway, it will pull into the driveway. I really wish that they would change it to add some options, because I back into my house because I have the charging station in the garage. And if I go to other places, sometimes I'd like to back in as well. But
Do you even need a license to drive this car?
Say that again, please.
You even need a license for this car?
It's funny. A funny comment with that, because I have two kids, high schoolers, that are just finished their driver's ed, and we're talking about they're not interested into driving like what we used to, right? When I was growing up, it's like it was freedom. Like, I need to get my driver's license.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, I mean, they've seen the car drive itself. I also have a Model 3 similar to Brad, and they're like, can I just have this? Like, take me to places. You don't need it.
It's great. And when we went to go to dinner, I had it summoned because there was a lot of individuals that showed up. It was a great event, and I wanted to talk a little bit about the event. But so we drove to dinner as well. So I had to come to the entrance of the hotel. Talk about lazy, and pick me up. But the funny thing is so I went into the hotel. It was in a hotel conference area. It was a nice event. So I walk in. There's a line, for registration. So I'm standing in line for registration. And they wanted, the usual check-in process that you go through, so you can get your name tag, your lanyard, and such. So I walk in, and then the other guest on here said to me, "Oh no, there was someone else doing it." They said, "Can I have your name?" And I said, "Oh. Actually, no, they didn't. Hold on, I'm screwing this up, everyone." They said, "Oh, you're not on the list." And I said, "What?" "I'm doing a session." And then they pointed me over to the bouncer. That is the bouncer. And I went over to her, and she goes, "Who are you?"
And Brad hits me with the, "You don't know who I am?"
He said, "I'm the Brad."
So then she goes,
There's a last name, please.
So clear as nice. And I said, "Well, I have a session doing this." She goes, "Scan the QR code and fill out the registration and get back in line." And I'm like, "What?" And by that time, because I got there a little early because I wasn't certain about the traffic. Now, by that time, when I got there, the line was probably 5 deep. And then when I finally got to her, because everyone was coming to the event, it was like 25 people deep. So not only did I have to take the time to fill out the registration, I had to go all the way back to the end of the line.
I do not remember it like this, by the way.
And I came this close to calling his car back to the front.
I did. I came this close to going back.
It's like,
so then I get up.
Meet me at the front. I'm out of here.
I waited in line again, and then I get up, and I said, I filled out the registration. And then the bouncer goes, "You're not on the list still." And I said, "Here's my code." And then thankfully, Mr. Bobby came to the rescue and said, "Oh, he's on there now. It just took a minute to refresh." So, but now that's why we have Bree the bouncer.
This is like a very dramatized rendition.
That wasn't a dramatized rendition. You would like get back, like literally.
Sounds like a movie scene.
Scan the code, get back in line. And I'm like, "Oh, okay."
Who are you?
Who are you? And that's now I call her Bree the bouncer. So if you ever go to an event, make sure that you fill out the registration.
Yeah.
One, I think it's important. And, all jokes aside, it is important. I have 2 things to say to this. Fill out the registration allows individuals to plan properly. And if you're not going to go, cancel.
Those are great tips. Great tips.
And I mean, that's all jokes aside. I mean, there may have been a little embellishment in that story, but it pretty much went that way. And that's why I say Bree the bouncer. But
if stories don't have embellishment, Brad, they're not stories. Every story needs embellishment.
Well, I've also learned there's 3 sides to every story. There's side A, side B, and the truth. So, did you want to share your rendition of the story?
I just know that the regional popped off. Let's start there. And there was so many people in attendance, lots of people to check in. Check-in's always mayhem. So I was
that 10 minutes before is mania.
Craziness. And you're taking names, you're giving badges. So if I don't see your name on that list, you're not valid. And that's what I know.
Yeah, that was what it is. I really don't even think she looked up. She was like, scan go, because thankfully I wasn't the only one. But with that, it's a little fun story. Would you mind telling us a little about yourself, Bobby?
Yeah. So I'm a longtime Dynamics community person. Been doing this for 20 plus years as a programmer and an IT person. But my favorite part has been the community side, which I started doing in 2014, 13, something like that, leading local meetings in Colorado. And then just jumped on board. Literally, I just showed up to DUG's offices one day until they gave me a job. I think it was like 2 months in before they gave me a paycheck. Yeah, so love doing what I'm doing for the community. So that that kind of spins it around to where I find my most passion. Was awarded MVP last year, so I've been excited to.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congrats.
Bring that forward and do a bunch more with that access. So yeah, so just really love being here for the community, listening and providing all the opportunities. I'm the worst. Somebody just asked me, how did you get Bobby to do that? He's like, I just asked. Like, I will pretty much do about anything people ask. That's what Bri's for. She bounces inside, by the way. She'd be like, what are you even doing with it? What? You're
Virtual
doing what
bounce.
now? Yeah, no, yeah. So, I have to be reined in because I love just providing access for the community to whatever it is they're looking for.
Excellent. Thank you. And Miss Bri the bouncer, can you mind tell us a little bit about yourself?
Being a bouncer. Yeah, I started with DUG in 2023, my senior year of college. I was a social media intern for DUG and really got the first taste of community when DynamicsCon was in San Antonio. And I was very much like a behind the scenes girl doing the social media content and always admired the event from afar. And then joined DUG full-time as a member manager, and I was helping with speakers, the programming committee, just making sure that the event stayed afloat. And then last year I got promoted to a sponsorship account manager, so now I'm more in that sponsorship sales world of DUG. But I've really seen a lot of the faces of DUG and really have grown just an admiration for the community as a whole and doing what I can to support that. So, yeah.
And just to point out, we didn't promote her to bouncer until after her first MMA fight. Once we saw that, like, oh yeah, it's over. Yeah, we got it. We're good. Yeah.
Well, we had the opportunity to speak at dinner that evening as well, because afterwards, we several of the attendees were able to go out for a dinner to talk. It was nice. And then she even added to her bouncer role, because then when she told me she was from the Bronx in New York, I said, forget it. Forget it. I'm not even.
Fits you.
I'm from Queens, but same vibe.
Get that wrong, man.
Yeah.
I was obedient from that point forward. I was obedient after I got put in line, but this going forward, forget it. So when I see you at DynamicsCon or other regional meetings, don't you worry. I will.
You'll bow. Yeah, go bow. Salute.
There's so many things to unpack with all of this that as we were talking about that evening, and to continue with the conversation, we're in 2026. There's a lot of information online. There's a lot of ways to get information. There's a lot of to me it feels like I'm inundated with information, and I almost have to throttle and control some of the information I receive. And there are a lot of events to go to, and I have conversations with individuals, and they talk about the events as far as what are these events about. And the events I'm talking about, they could be the large scale events like DynamicsCon, which DUG has once a year, or even now with the DUG regional meetups. Do you call them meetups? What are they? DUG regional meetups, DUG regional sessions? What's the proper name first?
We rebranded them to DynamicsCon regionals because we view them as like mini DynamicsCons. We're trying to level up. Madison, who's running this program for us, is just bringing a little more heat to these events to make them feel just like an immersive, large-scale event, even at that small scale. So we're calling them DynamicsCon regionals.
Okay, so the DynamicsCon regionals. So as a participant, and I have these conversations with that as far as information comes out, and I struggle with this sometimes myself, and which is why I wanted to speak with you about it, is what is the benefit for somebody attending some of these large-scale events or some of these smaller scale regional events, such as what the DynamicsCon regional is doing?
Yeah, Bri, you want to jump in first?
Yeah.
Give your opinion on this.
Yeah, I think too, I grew up in obviously like the age of COVID online learning, did a lot of like remote college classes. And I think we all know that online component, very easy to get distracted, very easy to tune in and tune out. I think when it comes to like in-person learning, it's really very valuable to be able to stay engaged within a session when you're sitting there face to face, but also you have the opportunity to contribute to the discussion, whether that be raising your hand and asking a question or showing your own use case in a session, or even like something new that we started to do, like in Convergence, we hosted this C-suite roundtable and had some like roundtable discussion topics on AI. So even taking people out of that traditional educational session setting and having them in roundtables, there was so many valuable conversations going on that I think benefited people even more. So when you attend these in-person conferences, you're just that more immersed in the learning experience, and you're getting that professional and personal like development in one.
I like the point that you had mentioned there, and I think, and I did see it, and I have seen it, and I have also changed the way I'm doing presentations in a way, because you hit on that round table discussion type where it's not lecture, and I know just from that event, not to just go back to the same event, it's sort of what sparked this conversation, was the room and the sessions weren't lecture sessions. They were more collaborative discussions led by someone. That someone had an outline, they had content. So as a side note, anyone who's doing presentations, I'm a big fan of those now, and also why I'm on the big co-presenting, because you can get different perspectives. But it was interesting to hear the participants in the room, and it was a wide and large group in the Business Central room that we had. What I mean by wide is a diverse group as far as organization diversity, as far as and stage of implementation. So it was nice to hear, oh, we use it this way, we use it this way, and they could share their stories because someone was starting their BC implementation and someone was seasoned, and they were able to connect and talk about it outside of the context of the topic that we had, which I thought was interesting.
So more engagement with a conversational type.
And I think that you hit that. So now there's another part that's with this. So there's a lot of events and opportunities that an individual will have, and how would someone determine which one to attend? See, these are some struggles that we have, and I'm talking with you as the event coordinator, bouncer, and planners. How do these events get structured, and how can someone determine which ones to attend as well? What is some advice on that?
Yeah, I mean, I could just put a double click on what Bri said. That was just great information. I saw that switch. I started seeing that switch a couple years ago in sessions where it turned from that lecture kind of format, like I'm talking to you, as opposed to we're talking together, and collectively the room is 1,000 times smarter than any person giving that lecture. And so bringing that together and creating that transformer, like and so you're all learning at one time, is incredible. And I'm glad that it's becoming more of the DNA of, like you said, you've adopted it. We're seeing more of that in the sessions where it's naturally happening, which is really great. It's tough, I think, to answer your question, in my opinion, to figure out which, many of these are structured so similarly, and so. I think the key that I've seen, again, just to tout what we're doing, the local groups, and this is something that when people ask, is the one thing that I go back to. Local groups are so fun and such a great place to start. If you're lucky enough to have a local group meeting near you, just being there with them and creating that local connection is so important, because that just moves forward into it's like, when you go to school and you have the elementary and the middle school and the high school, and you feed in from the elementary to the middle school, and I know at least 10 people that I'm going to bring into middle school with me, and then I meet some new people. So that's kind of the way it works for our local groups, to our regionals, to our national meetings. You're bringing all these people with you and building those relationships even deeper, but then it's easier to create the next level of relationships. So
I do want to add on your local, having these smaller kind of regional thing, because when I started speaking and I was in a session at a local meetup, and one of the things that really inspired me is when you have somebody that turned these sessions not such a lecture but more of a conversation, it allowed everybody else that kind of like hesitant to speak up, and it made it more comfortable. And when you get them very comfortable, they get super excited in terms of, okay, how I want to do that. I also want to lead a session. So in that case, it kind of turned into that snowball effect. And it's like, hey, I'm excited about this. I want to start speaking more. And so it starts with a smaller group of, a session or regional meetup like this. So this is fantastic for this kind of type of sessions.
Yeah. No, it's good. It's a great networking opportunity, and it's sometimes even I do like I'm starting to like more. This is again my opinion, and going back to what you said about the networking, is being able to talk with other people. I really do enjoy being by myself, and now in the world of AI, I find myself talking with AI agents all day long, and I'm even like verbally in the room here by myself. We talk about the mental institution early on, and I'm in my head. I sit here, and people probably would think I'm talking to myself when I speak out loud. But that network and collaboration is important, and it's nice to see and feel and talk to people at times, because I think we are, a more communal type species, I guess you could say, which is interesting. So with these events, now there's two sides. So you have the attendees that attend the events, you have sponsors that sponsor the events, and you have the speakers that present at these events. So we talked about, there's some things to consider, or we talk about things to consider when you want to choose which event to go to. But now, from a speaker point of view, I have questions all over the board, and unfortunately, they're not narrowed down to just an attendee. I have across the board. So we'll talk about from the speaker point of view. There's many.
Just Brad, I think the cool thing about where DUG is, and I think the community is, I view this. This started off as a user type thing. If you go way back, it was really user centric. Like lots of local meetings had to be user only, or if you were a partner, you had to invite 10 users to come. And I think we view it a bit differently. I think we view more holistically the entire community. There's value to everybody, from partner to ISV to Microsoft to consultant. All these folks bring value, and when it's when it's corralled properly at that, especially at that local level, so they start to learn, hey, we come here this is education. This isn't sales. This is the opportunity here is to grow and learn from each other. Man, that is another great thing that just kind of spirals out and spiders out into the community.
It is. It's a great community. No, I like that what you said. It's just to bring everybody together, because we all do learn from each other. Just because you're a partner or not, right, or a user, it doesn't mean you can't share experiences or you can't learn something, which is another thing why I like that human interaction, because you can share those stories. Now, from my ADHD is going all crazy this morning, but from the speaker point of view, as well, and we'll get back into the attendee perspective. I have a lot more questions on that, and I just want to jump a little. How does one become a speaker? What are your recommendations for becoming a speaker? And also, what criteria should somebody consider when they want to think of a session to present? And I have another catch question for you as well, that's on top of choosing a topic.
Yep, I'm excited by this because this is something that I took on as a passion project this year. So we're in the process, about midway through a speaker. We called it an origin story, speaker origin story. So helping to kind of go with our superhero theme, helping people who are either just on the beginning of their journey into learning and becoming a speaker in the industry, and or people who have never done it before, and how do you do it. So we've had a couple of great meetings so far, webinars and kind of panel discussions with folks who have done it for a long time, to help people do exactly like, how do I choose a topic? Where do I even start? Some of the cool things that came out of that discussion were, literally just being intentional around you. For an end user, every day you're faced with either a challenge or a success. Jotting those down, realizing that what you might find banal is interesting to everybody else in the world. Like, your one thing that you solved, you might think, this is just an everyday thing, but people want to hear about not just, again, your successes, but also your failures and how you learn from them. So, opening up just what's around you, is you've got topics probably just, you're flying. You can just grab them all the time. It doesn't have to be this grand thing that, you have to sit down and think about for forever and ever. It's sometimes the simple things that are the most impactful things.
Yeah, that's really quick on that too, because when you're speaking for so long and you think that you always have to share the newest thing, and you forget that the application itself is continue to grow, and you have new users, and they still need those refreshers, or not just refreshers, but like new to Business Central, right? So
Yeah.
I thought about that when I was doing a session where, and I was like, everyone, in my mind, everyone should know about this by now. And then I realized that, I'd say, hey, raise your hand who's new to Business Central. And it was like half of them. And I was like, oh, let's go back to the basics that
every year at
impactful.
Dynamics Con, I'm amazed by the number of new attendees coming to an event. Like, it's like even the Tampa event, when we had a couple rooms where I was in, how many people, the first time event, it was like, a third to, half of the room. It's like, wow, that's insane to me. But you do know there's millions of people who are out using the software who just aren't engaged, and they're slowly seeing and coming in.
I do believe that that's a good way for people that are new to speaking. Look at, maybe submit the basics, right? Because especially if you're a new speaker but you're new to Business Central, learn the path that you took to learn that feature in Business Central. I think that's a good start for those who are thinking about it.
The other two things I'll mention, authenticity is the big thing that we're kind of putting forward. Is like, just be authentic. Don't try to build some crazy PowerPoint structured thing. Just be authentic up there. If you tell your story and you're open and raw, and, people are going to be like, yes, I'm feeling that with you. Hell yeah. And you grab the room so deeply in that way.
That sounds like what Bri would say.
No. These are some good pointers. And again, it's when we talk about the conferences and the events, and like, as I had mentioned, I have some things I want to talk about. But from the speaker point of view, those are some good things. Is to think of something that you're passionate about. This is what I'm hearing from what you're saying, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm picking this up, and that's what I extract from it. Is find something you're passionate about. It doesn't have to be overly complicated, but as you said, be authentic, and don't have it something that you feel you have to be scripted or nervous about, because if you have the passion, it'll be easy for you to present.
It resonates in the room. You see the resonance. If you're in a room watching that happen, you can tell the difference, opposed to somebody just trying to read notes on a PowerPoint and trying to get through it, as opposed to just and it takes some confidence, and even just some some faith to get there and be that open and raw in that moment. But that's where you're going to start to really hum. And the other thing is, I'm going to go back to local, just to put a button on what you asked. If you start locally, if you have that ability to start locally, even online, like some of these, meetups we have, we call local chapters are virtual. But if you start local with a group and they get to know you, then your chances are going to increase to get that next level of speaking opportunities. So it's like, hey, I'd love to just, I'm here locally. I'd love to talk about something I learned, even if it's 10 minutes. Like, I just have a 10-minute thing. I mean, most of these, most of these groups will do that. Like, yeah, 10 minutes, sure. If it's a user story, for sure, or it's impactful, yeah, let's hear it. We can fit it in somehow. So then you get to know the group, and then that just helps at that next level of, like you said, getting yourself in front of, oh yeah, I'm on the programming committee for Dynamics Con or whatever event, and then I see Brad, he spoke at our event 2 months ago. I did a great job. I'd love to hear that story again, or hear Brad do this again. Let's definitely put a star on that one and take a look at it in our group. So that's, to me, it happens locally. The more you can engage, and even as virtually, going back to what we were talking about, being intentional, whether you're in person or you can do this virtually, it just takes a little more work. If you're on a webinar, a virtual meeting where you can watch the chat, interact, you still can have impact, and that networking value can succeed for you. But those are for the speaker, those would be my tips.
Those are some great tips. And Kris, you had mentioned Business Central, and just to go back to this DynamicsCon Regionals and the DynamicsCon conference isn't just Business Central focused. Right. What other types of information would an attendee or a speaker expect to see at the DynamicsCon meetings, whether it's the regional, the local, or the national?
Bri, what do you think? I mean, we got everything, right?
Yeah, everything like product wise, business central, finance operations, power platform, customer engagements. We sometimes have our own like AI tracks separately. Some groups like to have AI infused content. But yeah, I think especially when it comes to regionals, I know that Madison relies heavily on like our meetup leaders to source the content. And a lot of the times they tap into their local community groups of people who like, really shine, whether that be speaking or participating. So like Bobby has been saying this whole time, like staying present, staying active, showing that, um, you're here to learn and collaborate.
And we're trying to provide those networking opportunities too. Like you said, that's the important part. Like you want to, if it's a regional, you see we've got midday networking opportunities, evening networking opportunities, the advanced networking at the meadery, wherever the meadery, whatever meadery you end up in, whatever town you're in, all those are happening. And you try to build those extracurricular opportunities as well.
That's great. I wish there were more of these types of things. It's challenging. I understand it's challenging from an organizer point of view, as well as sometimes it's challenged from an attendee point of view, because how does a location get chosen? And I'm not asking a question, I'm just thinking of it because I see in my area, for example, in Tampa is an area that we have a regional meetings, dynamics kind of meetings, and there's been several. Sometimes it's challenging with the distance to figure out which place to attend, and sometimes it's a struggle. So if somebody wanted to have something closer to them, because maybe they're in a populated area, but the closest regional meeting or local meeting is further away, is there a way that they could start a meeting or start a meetup?
They can become a leader. Step up, if you have some buddies that would attend your meetings. We have the opportunity, like Madison is very in touch with empowering community leaders to step up and become a leader. We actually in February have our meetup leader retreat in Vegas, and we bring our leaders together to just talk about like what works, what doesn't work, how is DUG supporting you best, how can we help you more, things like that. And like you have every opportunity to just go out there and start your own group, but like DUG really is that kind of like safety net under you to give you the tools, the advice, the network to flourish as a leader and start your own group, while also like having resources to rely on in case maybe a partner comes in and wants to pitch their product. Like we step in and we say, hey, maybe you want a sponsorship, things like that.
That's interesting. Mm-hmm. So it's easy for not I want to say easy, but if someone's interested in organizing, there is a path. Listen, I mean, easy is all relative, I guess you could say, but you do have a plan in place for that, because I know personally I'm finding, I joke about me sitting all day by myself, but I do find pleasure, and I'm seeing the importance of having that human interaction. And even it's nice sometimes to say, hey, I have an idea, because now, years ago you had that, let me Google that for you. If somebody asked you a question, you say that. And I had a conversation with someone just recently, and we started talking about this, because it was always like, before you ask a question, you should ask, pick an AI platform, ask it first, and then talk about it. But if you pause for a moment, it's like, wow, you're really taking humanity out of it, or the human aspect out of it. We're all going to become just
our perspective in general. Like I think our experience and our perspective will always be so much more valuable than what AI has. And like that comes into this whole conversation of like community and collaboration. You'll never get that from AI, and that's why these conferences, these meetings will be evergreen.
No, I I do. I like that. Now, there's a lot of valuable information that you're saying, and it's making me pause and think. It's a nice perspective on it, to see even if coming into the community, or coming into the product or the space or the ecosystem, whatever we want to call it. It's nice to have a fresh look on it. As Kris even kind of alluded to, is like if you've been in it for a long time, sometimes you just get into the same perspective or the same rhythm and the same routine. So it's nice to to see other individuals coming into the community as I don't want to use the word community, but coming into the space with a new, fresh perspective. And I'm happy from my point of view that Business Central is doing well because we're adding additional users, and those users come across different generations, that come across different industries, different backgrounds, and that's something that I'm happy to start seeing is a blend of that, where everybody's sort of coming in instead of seeing the same. I know I hate to say it, but I don't. The same old faces everywhere you go.
And they're awesome faces, though. You'd hate to not see the folks in our community that you're used to seeing, the Chinskys and the Prophets and the Carters and all these people that are out there that you just love. But also you just have to. It's cool. You got to keep making room in the circle. It's like
yes. No,
Brad, your face is new because Bree did not know your face, man.
I'm okay with having
your face is probably still new.
I'm okay with having the new face, but no, and I do want to step back. I wasn't. I just want to be clear. I wasn't referencing saying seeing the same old faces, but I do appreciate seeing them because it's those faces can also provide mentorship in a sense for the newer members of the space.
Yeah,
but it's nice to see that there's other fresh perspectives, and I think that's important as we evolve as a species, as business evolve. I guess I call us a species now because we're humans. I don't know why I'm on this kick now, but lately I'm into this. That's another philosophical discussion that I have in my mind. But
I like it. What level is AI as a species? Is it it's rising, right? It's getting
Tech is its own species.
It's getting
now.
more special. Is that a word?
You'll throw me off on a tangent because if you look at some of these thinking models, if you have it do something, if you go through, and now they want to ask me this and that. And I really had a conversation with one the other day, and it started to push back on me. It was really impressive that it was getting. At first, it started to be like, "Oh, whatever you say, I'll do. Whatever you say, I'll do." Then it started to be combative, and I was like, "Whoa." I mean, the end result was right. It's like, are you sure you want to do this? Oh, we should do it this way. And I was like, whoa, but you're right. So I communicate with my ChatGPT and Copilot, and
we name them.
ChatGPT, it's a very personal conversation a lot of times, and you set the tone. And with the book, for instance, that I mentioned earlier, I wrote it. I don't want it to write it for me, but I did want it to review it and say, hey, give me your opinion, and I want you to put on. I don't want it to be like the typical, like, this is great, you should keep going. Keep writing, you got it. You're almost there. It's more like, no, I want you to be serious and tell me. And it was like, no. And I would push back. It's like, shouldn't I add more words? It's like, if you are an idiot, but if you're not an idiot and you listen to me, then don't, keep it clean, It wasn't quite that, fresh, but it was pushing back. Like you said, it was like, no, I think you need to stay where you are,
Which is, it's good. And I'm happy that it's not writing it for you, but I don't see harm in it helping.
Like an editor. I mean, I'm treating it like an editor. I would treat an editor like, hey, am I on track? Do you understand what I'm trying to convey? Is my message clear? This is all things that are really good to hear back, and I'll get human input too, because I think, like Bree mentioned, we're still so individual. Like AI is never going to replicate me. If you ask it a question, I'm going to come up with Brad, Kris. We're all going to come up with our own unique answers. But AI is still great to talk to and get feedback.
You don't think it can do that? I have to go back to my question. So you're going to send me down the road here, but
down the road.
If I were to record my entire life. Now, there are apps to do this because I've listened to other podcasts where individuals have these things running where it records their entire day. So if I recorded, let's say, a year of my life, and I was able to transcribe every conversation with everyone. And again, this is something that has to be in totality. I don't think it can be segmented to work or home or other things. Do you think you could feed a year's worth of transcripts to a model and then have that model learn to interact like you, and then you use another product that can then replicate your voice? Can we create an AI that's like ourselves, where if I were to go away and someone was at home, I could say, here, talk to this while I'm gone, and you can ask it questions and it will respond like you?
I think the possibility for sure. Julie Yak would not mind sharing this. She does this already. Do you know Julie at all? She's a Power Platform MVP, CE MVP, just AI. She has an AI model that she uses to respond to certain requests.
I have to talk
Use,
with her about that.
yeah.
Let's call her up.
And yeah, and she yeah, and it even has it's a video. It's the full model like you're talking about. Like I'll give you just for instance, we did a thing last year to promote Dynamics Con, and I asked a certain group of people. I said, hey, give me a video on 10 seconds. If you've ever seen, I think it's the Webby Awards. You get 5 words to do your speech, and you have brevity of speech. So you got 5 words when you get up there. To give your speech. And so I did something similar. I was like, give me 10 words, promote your session. You've only got 10 words. And hers, she's like, yes, sorry it took me so long, but I was working on my model. My model kicked this out, and it'd be hard pressed to tell a difference. It was 10 words.
It was video it was her face.
Too? Yeah, it was video and everything. Wow. So yes, I think so, Brad. But I tell you, I've tried in my own personal, and I haven't fed it a year's worth, but it still can't capture my voice. If I say, hey, write an email like I would write it, it's not going to know that for no reason at all. I want to talk about pangolins. Okay, that came out of nowhere, Bobby. I don't know why you want to add that in, but it's not quite there yet. Like it can try to capture my patter and cadence, but it can't capture just the non sequitur that my brain might go to, or yours, or Bri's, or Chris's. So I think that would be the interesting part. Could it see enough to make that determination? Like, hey, it looks like Bobby takes a 180 every third paragraph, so I've got to do that now, and it's got to come out of nowhere. Like, and that to me would be the hard thing to capture. Yeah. Right, so that'd be the hard thing to capture. Like, but could it? I think possibility, yes. I think all that as it continues to grow.
Then I don't know where we'll be if that is to occur. I don't know where we will be because then it's: are you talking to Bobby? Are you talking to Bobby's? AI and little Bobby Jr. Was it Howie Mandel that had that? Who had that show back?
Yeah, Bobby's World. Yeah,
Bobby's World. Bobby's World.
And you gave me PTSD, by the way, because I am a junior, and so growing up in my family, my dad was Big Bobby and I was Little Bobby, and I'm 5'2", so it didn't help my confidence a lot. Growing up, like, hey, Little Bobby. It's like, okay, you have to rub it in. All right.
It's funny. I don't know, Kris. Do you know who Howie Mandel is?
Yes.
Okay. Do you remember when he had hair?
Yes, there's photos of him with hair. Yeah.
Because now he's been bald for so long,
but it's that Bobby's World. It's funny how many people would remember that, but that's what we're at. See, the past predicts the future in a sense, but see, now you have Bobby's World, the new Bobby's World. Yeah. I'm interested to see that. This is, I think we should challenge you. I'm sure I'll speak with you before the end of the year, but maybe at the end of the year we'll have to see if we could have a Bri's World or a Bobby's World.
Yeah, Bri's World. I'll keep feeding more of my writings and brain thoughts into AI and see if it can come up with something that's equivalent to Bobby's World.
That would be interesting. Jump back again, ADHD. This is good. Speaking. Now, we have the regional and national meetings, and DynamicsCon at this point, I know the speaker sessions have been closed, and you're currently reviewing those sessions for the presenters in May and for a wonderful time in Las Vegas. Is that why you're going to Vegas in February to check out the venue as well as?
Yep, you bet.
Okay, that's what I kind of figured. So DynamicsCon national will be in Las Vegas in May. I'm looking forward to heading back to Vegas. I've been a few times in my life, so looking back to head back to share some knowledge with the participants, and learn a lot from the users as well as the other partners that attend. Now, the call for speakers for some of these conferences, now I'm going to put you on the spot here. This one ended back December, the end of December, I believe, of 2025 was for it.
Yeah.
For a
it slid into January. It's soft. Yeah.
It's rough time frames. I know it's not easy to do some of this stuff. Let me tell you, I'm being sincere when I say it. I would not want to be on the other side of these things. I'm just going to tell you, I have a lot of respect for anybody that tries to plan an event. And that's why I said before in my intro, if you're going to attend, sign up. If you're not going to attend, cancel. Because I can't imagine the coordination has to go on the other side. And then if somebody doesn't show up, it's unfortunate because you planned for that person to be there, and you maybe somebody else who wanted to go didn't have the opportunity to attend because
Exactly. That's the hardest part. Or it could be other people, especially an event that you do have a cap on, like Convergence we capped out. So was a waiting list that we were battling. So there's reality to that. If you're signing up and being true to it.
Yeah. And so I just, again, there was a little ADD in this. He breezed over there like,
what are we talking about?
keep up. You can put Bobby, I can tell you right now, you put Bobby and I together, we could have an entire conversation for a day. And I think we'd cover the world's worth of topics, which is good. But how can you choose a topic to speak about for a conference where the world is changing so fast? That's the struggle that I have when I submit sessions sometimes is, now I have to pick on what I want to speak about in 6 months. Now, you had some great advice, Bobby, about, the real world situations, talk about the real world situations. Someone like myself and some others, we prefer to talk about, technical aspects, for example. And it's when it comes to Business Central, Power Platform, customer engagement, FNO, FNSCM, and, whatever they call it tomorrow or today, just like, they changed the name of that, just like they changed the logos and everything else. But it's challenging to come up with a topic that you don't know where something will be that you can speak about. And in my perspective, sometimes, yes, every attendee is at a different portion of their journey. Some are just starting out with one of those applications that we had mentioned, and others may be a little further along. And it may want to see more of the current stuff. Speaking of Business Central, the wave comes out in April, conferences in May. How do we know what we can talk about in December for May? Do you follow my question there?
100%. Yeah, no, we struggle with that too. I mean, for Chicago, for instance, once our Denver Dynamics Con ended, call for speakers opened up in June of 2024. For Chicago in 2025. Oh. So that's, and people might not know it. You're not paying attention. Who cares at that point? But people did start submitting sessions. To your other point, still 40 to 50% wait till the final week of whatever the date is. It's like we're like sweating bullets. Like, we've only got 20 sessions submitted, and then it's like the last week. It's like bam, bam, bam. It's like I didn't know. That's why you always have that little bit of buffer built in. So I think this year we didn't open sessions up until November. So we kept it closed for that purpose. We didn't want, I agree with you. Like, what kind of session are you submitting to me in June that has any real value? Unless it's really core content, like you're digging on some really core content that's never going to change. That maybe you have that, but those are, I think, far and few between. I think more likely I think we're edging, at least we are trying it out this year to see what it looks like. People want to see an agenda. So there is a cutoff where you've got to have some agenda in place for people to feel like, hey, this is a real event. I keep going up to Dynamics Con and all I see is one session and it's Bobby and I'm not going to that, whatever. It's like, you've got to have some agenda. So that's another driving factor. But I think we're edging closer to a little bit more tension in this area, Brad, to answer your question. Let's start this process a little later and end it a little later and get the sessions you want. And also, for us, I push our committees to, if you don't like a session, if you're going through and we get 1,000 sessions and you go through and man, we've got 65 BC slots and I only find 50 quality sessions. I'm not going to pick 15 just because they're there. I'm going to go out and source those sessions right now and say, hey, Brad, you submitted a session. We don't really like the content. Can you update it? Or you submitted it. Can you update it? So getting that kind of mentality going too, don't be afraid to ask for the session that you don't have or tweak the session that's been submitted. You submitted this in June. I know for a fact after 3 wave releases that this thing has changed a little bit. Are you planning to update this? So being more proactive and not just taking this static session you get.
I like that. I do like that.
What we're doing.
And I never thought of that, to go back and maybe adjust the session. And I do understand the struggle of, I look at it. And again, these are conversations I've had with many people that speak and also with many attendees and members of the planet. And
I lost my Planet membership card, by the way. Do you know how I can get a new one? Because
yeah, speak with me after, and I'll tell you how you can get the membership card, and we'll
Thank you.
in Las Vegas, we'll
Perfect.
we'll explain to everybody else how you have a Planet membership card. We'll create a Planet membership card booth where you can come up and you can take your picture and such. It is a challenge because also people want to go to these events, and it's also from the attendee point of view. Well, these are the sessions that are there. What will I get out of it? Obviously, everyone goes to these things to get something out of it, and everyone will have a different perspective of what they want to get out of it. But sometimes the determining factor of what I get out of it is going to be seeing exactly what's there versus just saying, "Oh, it's a Dynamics Con event. Historically, they've been great, and these are the tracks that I wanted, but is there a chance that the track that I'm looking for may not be there because it's replaced with something else?" Which it does happen. It's not the fault of anybody, but the world progresses, the planet progresses. I'll share my planet card with you. So I do appreciate that. And that's kind of what's been on my mind because we're just coming out of the speaker session submission period, and like you said, a lot of individuals wait to the end because of that. Let's push it as far as possible because I need to try to foresee what's going on.
The best content. And I'd say as a speaker, I would advise against just having, I know it's tough. I know I worked at a partner, and for a long time they had their canned content for the year that they submitted everywhere. And I'd say I would offer that, and challenge folks to be a little bit more agile. And for organizations like us to be more agile. It's difficult, but I think worth the value. And you can't, obviously, we'll have, hundreds of sessions. We can't let everybody rewrite their session at the very end, right? But be open to like, hey, I know this is unusual, but they just announced a major thing in Microsoft, and my session is going to be affected by this. I've got to update this. Let's get that up there, and not just bring it, but bring it up forward. And so just being open to that, I think, is important. So like, we'll be open to that. If people are coming, and that's another piece of advice, like keep that in mind. If you've got some changes you want to tweak, like, hey, I submitted this, but it's updated. Let's update it. Why wouldn't you? Let's if you're going to be proactive, let's be proactive with you, not be locked into, something else.
We're challenging our programming committee to like rise up to selecting that, like premiering content. I know some members of our programming committee also attend other community events, so they're obviously going to choose the content that they're interested in and they think that their peers are, and things that we aren't seeing copy and pasted all over again. So keeping that in mind when you're submitting a session, that everyone wants to evolve through like the educational component. Yeah.
And if you speak, you get a Planet card.
Yes, we guarantee
well,
we'll give you a Planet card. You get one year free membership to the Planet.
We laugh, but this will be in the archives for a long time. And once we start this space travel, again, here was another little tangent. We should, Kris, we'll have to start doing this like tangent count and like go ding, ding. There will be a time where we'll be able to have interplanetary travel. And you may have a Planet card that says, you can go to Mars. You can go to Earth. Or you can go to, maybe there's a new planet that's formed somehow from a rock structure or some comet structure.
Yep.
Yeah. Then we'll have a galaxy card. Look at that. We'll have a Planet card, then you have a galaxy card. And see, we laugh, but that's true sci-fi fashion. In true sci-fi fashion, that stuff will happen. See, now I'm a little tongue-tied. So, no, I appreciate the speaker. Not that I want to talk, so much on the speaker's point of view, but it's a good perspective. And again, it's something that has been on my mind.
It provides value. That's the value to the community. The attendees are going to feel the value of that.
Yes.
When it's everything we've talked about, whether it's the engagement early on or the speaker, going that extra oomph, nth degree to prepare. That's all valuable to the community at large.
Yeah. So when we talked about, what the users, the attendees, some of the benefits attending with the networking, seeing other individuals and their peers and such, if presenting information to be able to see that, whether it's a Microsoft employee, whether it's an ISV, whether it's a user-led speaking session, a partner-led speaking session, there's stuff that there's valuable content that they can get out of it. and also meet and network other individuals. Do you have any other things or other tips or highlights that someone should focus on when they attend some of these events?
I do. I've got endless thoughts, but I'll let Bree go first because I might not stop talking. So
Yeah, let me think more on it, Bobby.
yeah, my number one thing. I just was thinking about this, a couple of ticks ago. I've heard people, just asking like, "Hey, how did you find this event?" It was okay. I didn't get a lot out of it. And then I mentally rewind to my interactions with that person, and they're on their phone. They're not engaged in any of these sessions. They're So to me, if anybody asked, the number one thing is you've paid money, likely. If not, you've traveled. You've done something to be at this event. Be there intentionally to the extent you can. Obviously, things come up. You have a work emergency, whatever. But if you can, put your phone down. Pay attention. That was like my number one. When I was at the partner, like, well, if we don't have a speaking session, how can we meet people? It's like pay attention in sessions. When Brad says something and he's like, hey, I'm looking to learn more on this. You can find Brad later. And it's like, hey, I know something about this. Let me tell you what I know. You made a connection, but if you're not paying attention, you've lost that. And so you've got to be like on point at every minute of every second to make these, and grow this great, ecosystem we have, because that's the best part about it. That just everybody learning from each other. So being intentional is my number one.
That is with life. I'm so happy you said that.
Yes.
It's in this age, and I've had the conversation. Thank you for saying that. That's almost like it was rehearsed, because
Brad's note number 3: stay intentional.
No, it's well, be present, because
Yes.
as you had mentioned, I see so many that go to these events that you find that the only thing they do is go out in the evening.
Yeah.
And there was another event. Kris will remember this. I forget which conference is which. I mean, we'll all be naive to say that there aren't plenty, like we talked about. But I went to one in I think we went to one in Las Vegas last year, and I didn't go out at all. I was in bed every evening. By my bedtime normally is 9:30, 10 o'clock. I'm not gonna lie. Like everybody,
Right
I don't
there
care
with you.
what's going on. Like we were just talking about the Super Bowl this morning. I said I'm not making it, even though it's my team. I'm not making it because it starts at 6:30. It won't be over till near midnight. I'm going to bed.
That's why I love the sports out here. Sports in Mountain Time Zone and at the normal human time.
Yes, and I'm just saying, why can't they start it at 15:30 Eastern?
Yeah, right.
The Pacific Coast can get it at noon.
Right.
We'll get it at 15:30, and then it will be done by 7, 8 o'clock, and then we can all go to bed and
Start
just
the
be happy.
brunchtime party on the Pacific Coast and just roll it all the way through.
Exactly, it's still reasonable.
Totally.
But that was I did not go out at all, and I was very purposeful on my attendance of events. I made sure I had something to do every minute of the day. And I'm not trying to say like it was crazy every minute of the day. What I meant, I was going to find a session, even if it was something that I didn't know about and I wanted to learn. And I said to everybody when I came back, that was the best conference that I had attended. Why? Because I was rested and alert. When I say I didn't go out, I wasn't out late. I did network afterwards. I talked with people at dinners. I talked to some at the social hours. When I say out late, it's like I wasn't out till 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning.
10. Yeah,
There was nothing past 10. I was up until 21:30. I have to Kris always laughs at me because I speak military time, so I have to translate. But I up until 21:30, I was doing something. Like they had the social events and stuff, and I was networking, but I wasn't up late, so I was well rested. And I said that was the best event that I had gone, because I picked up so much information, because I did not focus elsewhere. I kind of really did I'm here, I'm focusing on the present, and I had a good time. So your tip number 1, be purposeful. You said my tip number 3, but your tip number 1, be purposeful.
It's a huge investment.
Is spot on. Like that right there. And you can take that to life. You're going to get, whether it's a movie, whether it's a dinner, whether it's a conversation. Oh man, see, now you're going to give me another ADHD moment. When you go out to dinner with me, you can't use your phone. Like I tell people, put it away. Like unless it's relevant, like we did when
it's with me. He takes his phone out when we're sitting in the bar.
I don't go to dinner with him.
When we're in Orlando, you're like, we're in the bar and you're like, I'm going to get my phone.
I would say
No.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. We took selfies, of course.
If it's
Come on now.
relevant to the conversation, like we shared stuff on the phone when we were there because we were talking about things you want to look it up or you want to show a picture, fine. Everyone's included. But if I'm going to go out somewhere, I'm not going to just have a nice, like you're just missing on all this experience for me to sit here and go or talk to somebody that's not there. It drives me crazy.
I've heard it's even better to actually put it away. Like if you have a purse, your pocket, leave it in the car.
Yeah.
Because if you got it on the table, even if you turn it upside down, like I had to Google, you turn it upside down, it goes into, do not disturb mode, but it's still there. It's still kind of, you're eyeballing it. So I do the same. If I go out to coffee with somebody, I just leave my phone somewhere. I don't want you to have that thought of distraction. And even to the extent of, like, sometimes it's fun to struggle through. Like, remember that movie with that guy? And you're like, yeah, what was that guy's name? I don't know. I think it started with an F. And it's fun to kind of struggle through the group with that, as opposed to just doing the easy, like, beep, boop. Oh, it was, this guy. It's like, it's fun. It's more fun to kind of struggle through and remember it or not. And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. Yeah.
I'm taking that tip. I will do that, and I will sit on the struggle bus and try to remember things.
Like it's literally like we've got to find directions. Then maybe that's better.
That's how we played video games back then. You struggle through games because you can't Google anything.
Right.
That's why we're good problem solvers.
What are you talking about? Bobby and I remember Pong. I remember going to buy Pong.
No, that's my point.
2600. I was struggling on my own with nobody even helping me. Like
that's my point, though. You
Yeah.
couldn't pull up your phone. It's like, how do I get by these levels or whatever? No, you gotta go through the struggle, man. Yeah. Hours upon hours trying to solve a puzzle.
Yeah, if you play that first level of like Legend of Zelda was the first like long-term role-playing game I played, like learning
figure it out
and save the princess. Yeah, it's hours and hours of notes and fighting the whatever crystal wizard. I can't remember it all now.
And you didn't have the save spots.
Nope. Yeah, no save. When you die, you start over again.
That was it. It took me 4 hours to get here. Now I have to do another 4 hours to get there.
Yeah.
Oh, see, now we're becoming like those old people. But do you have any other tips for someone who's attending? We're going to reel it back. All right. I do my best to try to keep this bus on the road, but we're taking some detours. Hey, listen.
I would give Bri the opportunity. She's had some time to think now.
I have a blast with these conversations. And like I said, if whomever's listening still at this point, thank you. If you're not, I'm still loving this conversation. So
yeah, I think my tip would just be to like put yourself out there, especially, we sit behind screens all day and sometimes you're on camera, but like when you come to these conferences, putting yourself out there could feel so unnatural. So just like part of what Bobby said too, be intentional about putting yourself out there. Go to the expo floor and make it your goal to hit at least 10 booths. And if you didn't learn something new within those 10 booths, hit another 10 and keep going. And like if, for example, you're in a session and maybe in the last one you had a question but you weren't brave enough to ask it, put yourself out there in the next one. That's how you accomplish things. That's how you make it a valuable experience. Us as the organizers will give the platform for you to do so, but also like go in with the intention of putting yourself out there. I think that's how you can get the most out of it.
That's a great tip. And to add to that, I add to everything just because I do. What I do along those lines, and what Brad says everyone should do, is at the breaks and at lunch, for example. Not for an example, as fact, I will go sit with a table of people I don't know. Like when we usually have a lunch served at these events. Conference food is very important to me because I like to eat. I understand it's a challenge to come up with good conference food because how can you feed 1,000 people at the same time? I understand the challenges, and I hope other people are like that too.
100-foot sub.
And I have another peeve of mine that goes with this other as well, but we're going to get back to that because you got me on this lunch thing. And it even happened here the other day. I find a table with people that I don't know. Kris and I talk about this, and we do this. Maybe he and I will sit together, but we'll sit with other people that we don't know. And I just come up with conversations. I've met people with when I say people I don't know, I'm not saying people within, I work with Business Central. I don't care what they do. I've sat and spoken with individuals that work with CE, Power Platform. And it is great just to hear people's stories sometimes, what they're doing, why they're there. And I've met some great people just by randomly sitting down at a table. And most people at these conferences are very friendly. And I've come across some individuals that they're alone because their organization was only sending one person. And even just sitting and talking to them, they've even reached out to me and said, hey, it just changed my conference experience, just talking with somebody and learning, go to these events, go to here, talk about this, or just providing an idea. So it provides opportunity for you to learn, to go, just maybe sit and speak with somebody that you don't know. They may be in the same position, they're by themselves, or they don't know anybody that to go with it too. Here's my other thing. If you're at an event,
this is Uncle Brad talking now.
Yes. If you're at an event, listen, Bobby Jr. You do know, right? I stick with nicknames. So Bri, you'll always be Bri the bouncer. Bobby, you're gonna be Bobby Jr. now. I'm sorry, I hope you don't get that. But you put it out there. So
yeah, not there.
To me, it's once you throw something to the universe, it's there.
If it goes on Dynamics Corner, it's for forever.
It's there.
Well,
yes.
no, there's a difference. When people talk with me, I won't share a thing with anybody about anything. I don't care what it is, unless I know it's public information. You can tell me you had a cookie for breakfast, and I will not tell anybody unless I know it's out there. But if you're on a recording and you know it's recorded, to me, it's a little fair game.
Yeah, 100% fair game.
No, but when you go to these, like when you go places, it's just, see, I'm on this value kick. I go through these phases. I really think you should charge for soft drinks at conferences. And you should charge for coffee at conferences. And people are going to go, no, it's part of this and that. And I'm going to tell you why. Or maybe you get coupons for it. Because if I'm someplace and I see this, it's not just the conferences, I see this other places. They give away a free soft drink, maybe Coca-Cola, Pepsi. I don't care what you're talking about. People will pick it up. They'll take a couple sips, leave it on the table, put it down. And then you go to clean up the table. It's like a half of a soda. And I'm like, why waste it? Somebody paid for it somewhere, whether a sponsor paid for it, whether somebody paid for it. But if you charge somebody for it, let me tell you, I paid at the airport the other day, I paid $3.90 for a cup of coffee. Let me tell you something. I drank every drop.
That's cheap. That's cheap for $3.
No, I'm going to tell you what I really did too, is I went and I put a little water in it to make sure I could get that extra coffee out of it. Okay?
Every
and I'm not even kidding.
Drop of caffeine is coming out of this cup.
This right here, I have my coffee in here. It's at the very bottom, and I put some ice water in it. So I have a little ice water flavored coffee. No, it goes back, in all seriousness, be mindful of that, because there is nothing free in this world. Somebody somewhere is paying for it. It's not just a conference. And again, it's a peeve of mine, because value it. Provide value. Free does not mean zero value, right? It's just like if somebody's doing something for you and they offer their time for free, they volunteer. It doesn't mean that that's not valuable because somebody didn't pay for it. Somebody's paying for it. So that's my little PSA. If you pick a drink up,
I love that.
Drink all
that.
of it, please.
Let's record that as a PSA for Dynamics Con at some point. We'll do it like old school PSA style. Kind of the more you know from NBC, like dun dun dun.
Listen, I'll record all that stuff all day long for you because sometimes I think people don't think about that. That just leave a soda on there and. It drives me nuts because now
Yahoo grabs 6 sodas. I would need these for later. It's walking away with
that drives me crazy.
Take it back in your room.
That drives me crazy because now I'm not going to get one because Bobby Jr. took 6 and he doesn't need 6 and he drank half of them.
And I drank there's 6 half sodas in a trail like Hansel and Gretel. You could find me at the end of this.
Yeah,
each individual soda half consumed, and me just at the end of it, just burping and lying.
That's somebody's job at DUG. Everyone is very intentional about the things that are present at each of our conferences. From something as simple as a tablecloth, someone at DUG took time to make that be there. So I'm so glad you brought that up. Really appreciate.
I'm on this kick, and maybe it's I'm realizing why people think old people are bitter. It's because maybe you just have experience, or maybe you just know you don't have much time left, or you just have a lot of experience in reality, and you just don't. I don't want to say I don't care, but I think voicing some of this stuff is important because some people may not be aware of it. And like you said, it's not just the DUG. I know we're talking about DUG See, like this, I'm holding my comb. Say I started this.
By the way, I'm already picturing this PSA. It's going to be you and I, like Waldorf and Statler, the two Muppets from the Muppet Show, the two old guys, just talking about people who don't drink their entire sodas, and just
And
it's
Brad's
going
gonna
to
be combing his
yeah,
beard.
just combing our beards.
Well, as long as I have it. I only do this typically in the wintertime. I always say I'm going to grow it out ZZ Top style. You remember who ZZ Top is? Anybody? I know Bobby does.
One of my first concerts, 1984.
Yeah.
Saw
well,
them
I'm going to do ZZ Top style is what I'm hoping. But again, we'll see how it goes. But I'll tell you, I will record any PSA like that you want. No problem. You tell me where and when.
You already learned that once I have something locked, it will likely happen soon. I'll be talking to you at some point about this PSA, and we'll do it right.
Into one of those.
There's nothing wrong with common courtesy.
Ask Bri about the time she wore a mustache and played Mike Ditka, so you'll know that I get serious and down when the time comes.
Eating the hairs as I'm trying to speak.
Yeah. And again, it goes beyond the Dynamics Con conferences. It's any event that you go to.
That's the point. This is just conference centric, folks.
Yes.
Don't do this at any conference you're at. This is something to think about.
Yeah, because it's someone had taken the time for it. Well, I could go on for hours talking with you both about this, and my mind is still raging. We'll have to have you both on again, and then maybe we can include Madison. Madison was the one that was nice to me.
Do you have a nickname for her? Is she Maddie the Nice, or is there something?
No. She didn't warrant the nickname.
Okay.
The only thing she did was harass me for slides, but that's okay. I'll let that pass. That happens all the time. No, that was good. But no, Bobby Jr., Bri the Bouncer, thank you very much for taking the time to speak with us today. We really do appreciate it. We'll have to schedule something later on to have you both back on to follow, maybe after the national event in Las Vegas, or maybe we can even do something there. I really want to do something live, so maybe we can
I
get
will
something
keep a count. If we do this, I'll keep count of how many unconsumed sodas I find. We'll just have a tally, like just pictures and tally on all. Let's do a data point on maybe it'd be nice if we had it from last time, so we could did your PSA help or not? But we'll at least do some count there.
Keep that thought, because once we're done recording, I'm going to type that note down, and I'm going to put that on there because we will speak towards the end of the event. Again, depending on travel and such, that's when I say towards the end of the event. I can't say the last day, because if travel arrangements dictate that we don't have a lot of extra time, because I do want to make sure I attend the sessions and I get the most out of them. I do want to do that, because that would be interesting to see. These are I'm going to take pictures, not of them all, but I'll take a couple of. Okay, I'm going to walk around on the table. If I see a soda, I'm like, okay, okay, we'll do that.
It's like Tom Hanks takes pictures of socks or shoes, like in the wild. Like he'll just take a picture on his Instagram of a sock or a shoe. I can't remember which one it is. Random, it's like just kind of this random thing. Like somebody lost this one shoe, so that'll be you. Just like this random soda, Mountain Dew. Whatever it is,
what happened to the owner of this?
What happened? Exactly.
But I'll only do that if the bouncer promises to reserve Coke Cherry Zero sodas for me.
All right,
we're writing that down.
Okay, and we'll have and I will. Let me tell you, there won't be a drop left in that can. If there's
I'll make a sponsorship for it.
I rinse off the can. We'll get into the Howie Mandel germaphobe that I am. Chris will tell you about that. But I'll wipe that can off, and if there's a little drop on the top of it when it's done, I'll even get it off the top. So
I want to see this.
I know. We'll be going through all the aluminum cans at the end. Look up. Yep, this is a Brad. This is a Brad.
No, but and honestly, thank you for taking time to speak with us. Thank you for all that you do for the community. I know there's a lot that goes behind these events, and I know that a lot of individuals get a lot out of the events as well. The attendees, we had some jokes, we had some laughs, but there's a lot of seriousness in there. And I do encourage, even more so in 2026, where in my opinion we're becoming so separate. And we're starting to become more isolated as individuals. I think going to these events, if anything, to get the human interaction, to share the stories, and just have some of that contact is extremely important. And if anyone would like to learn more information about how to speak with you about any of these events, what goes on to these events, whether questions about attendees, speaking, sponsoring, or anything about it, what is the best way to get in contact with you, Bobby Jr.?
It's at Bobby Jr. No, I'm just kidding. Obviously, LinkedIn is a really good spot. I keep tabs on LinkedIn pretty religiously. You can message me. I have no filters out there, so love that. If you don't have my email, you can get me on the DUG site. So dynamicsusergroup.com. You can find us there as well.
Bree the Bouncer, how about you?
I may be hard to track down. I'm kidding.
Oh no,
she's a little more wily. Yeah,
she's Bobby's bouncer. So you just watch out. She's wherever Bobby is, she'll be there with the shades and the jacket. Trust me.
No, yeah,
It's
definitely safe. LinkedIn for me too. Or if you want to talk sponsorships, we have a lot of good information on our websites in regards to like prospectuses and stuff. Always down to make friends. I'm a young professional looking to connect, so hit me up.
Great. Thank you both. We look forward to talking with you again soon. If I don't see you before Las Vegas, I'll definitely see you there. Thank you very much. Talk to you soon. Ciao, ciao.
Thank you, Kris, for your time for another episode of In the Dynamics Corner Chair. And thank you to our guests for participating.
Thank you, Brad, for your time. It is a wonderful episode of Dynamics Corner Chair. I would also like to thank our guests for joining us. Thank you for all of our listeners tuning in as well. You can find Brad at developerlife.com. That is DVLPRLIFE.com. And you can interact with them via Twitter, DVLPRLIFE. You can also find me at matalino.io, MATALINO.io. And my Twitter handle is Matalino16. And you can see those links down below in the show notes. Again, thank you, everyone. Thank you, and take care.